nyo kung kinukumpirma namin na gusto nilang pabagsakin ng gobyerno, kumpirmado, totoo po yun, lahat kami.
Totoo po yun.
Ang
Yung
masakit,
mga, sinong sila? You're referring to?
yung mga ka-prenting organisasyon na nag-recruit po sa amin, ang intent po lahat yan, pabagsakin ito.
So,
Ang
yung front lang, hindi kasama yung party list. Yung front lang.
Kasama mo party list. Kaya nga po nila pinasok ang political mainstream arena para magkaroon sila ng, to legitimize, magkaroon sila ng legal face. And kaya na, political officer po ako, kagalang-galang na senador, kaya po pinapagamit sa amin ang mga salitang revolusyon, revolutionary tax, armado, bagong hukbong bayan, yung mga word na ganyan, rally, symposium, orientation, to legitimize, to give a semblance of legitimacy doon sa atrocities na kinukumit. Kasi yung mga prente nito na ginagawa, yan yung lambong. Yan yung lambong, sisigaw ng demokrasya, pasay na ho ang demokrasya, sobra na ang demokrasya sa Pilipinas. Ang masakit nga ho, we want to destroy the government, but this is the same government that is now helping us.
And what about Gabriela? The party list where Sara Elago now sits as representative. In
Alright, Reaction TV Base, nagbabalik reaction. Napakaganda po ng pag-uusapan natin ngayong mga ka-reaction. Mantagin po ninyo mga ka-reaction. Pinaikot-ikot po tayo ng Administrasyon Bongbong Marcos at para bang na double whammy. Kinuha yung 60 billion sa PhilHealth, kinuha yung mayigit 100 billion sa PDIC. Ngayon mga ka-reaction, dapat yung kinuha sa PhilHealth ay ibabalik yung kinuha, hindi kukuha sa National Treasury para ipalit sa PhilHealth. Nagets po ninyo mga reaction. Diba, kinuha ko tong Apple. Binigay ko kay Juan. Ngayon, kailangan ibalik. Kailangan ibalik. Kukuha ngayon ako ng Apple doon sa Apple kung saan ko kinuha yung Apple para may pakita lang na ibinalik ko yung Apple. Tama ba yun? Tama po ba yun mga ka-reaction? Ito Pero bago yan mga ka-reaction, bago po tayo magpatuloy sa ating napaganda reaction video, shout out po sa lahat ng ating mga OFW sa ibang bansa. Siyempre, OFW nga kahit saan man kayo sa lupalop ng ating mundo mga ka-reaction, kung nasa Europa man kayo, nasa Amerika, nasa South America, nasa Central America, nasa nasa Africa, nasa Asia, Japan, Malaysia, Singapore, Thailand, Taiwan, Saudi Arabia, UK, kung nasaan man po kayo mga kareasyon. Shout out po sa inyong lahat. At ito na po mga kareasyon si Atty. Sal Panelo. Panoorin po natin at sama-sama po tayong mag-react sa comment section. Ako, na double whammy po mga kareasyon. Tayong lahat.
Siguro nasa isip ng Korte Suprema. Di ba nilagay nila sa National Treasury? Hindi kailangan yung National Treasury ibalik sa kanila. Parang tama. Pero mali Bakit ko kanya mali? Yung pera kinuha nila sa PhilHealth, inilagay nila sa National Treasury. Pero ang problema, yung pera nandun na kinuha nila sa PhilHealth, ginamit to sa pagpondo ng mga flood control projects na hindi naman nangyari. Ninakaw yung pera na galing sa PhilHealth ng mga walang iyang tiwaling miyembro ng Kongreso at Senado at mga private contractors at mga DPWH kung maniniwala kayo sa mga investigasyon na lumabas na itinuturo sila at may mga pag-amin na. O ang tanong ngayon, kung yung pondong kinuha mo sa PhilHealth, ibinalik mo nga totoo sa National Treasury. Pero yun napunta rin sa appropriation para sa mga flood control projects na ninakaw ng mga walang hiya. Bakit ngayon, yung taxpayer, pera na naman ng gobyerno, ang ilalagay mo sa PhilHealth? Ninakawan na nga ang taong bayan. Pagkatapos siya pa magre-reimburse sa PhilHealth. Maliho yata yun. Walang galang na sa Korte Suprema. Mukhang hindi yata nakita niyo yun. Ang kailangan na magbalik ng mga pera, yung mga nagnakaw. Yung mga nagnakaw, na ngayon nga, di ba, meron na mga nagsole. Meron tayong mga kinumpis ka, mga sasakyan, binibenta. O, dapat yung mga sinoling pera galing doon sa mga flood control projects na katiwalian, yung mga kinumpiskate na mga sasakyan, na mga binibenta ngayon, at kung ano-ano pang kukunin na mga properties na pag-aari ng mga nagnakaw na yan, yun o ang ilalagay mo sa PhilHealth sapagkat yun ang ninakaw. Hindi yung taxpayer ang maglalagay na naman sa PhilHealth. O, abay para ho tayong niluto sa sariling langis natin to. Hindi po ba? O, yun ang aking masasabi dyan. Kaya sabihin natin pag-file kayo ng motion for reconsideration, yung mga bagay-bagay na sinabi ni Justice Marvick.
Di ba? Tama po yun. Yung perang 60 billion tsaka 100 plus billion na galing PDIC, nilagay po sa mga unprogram fund. Ninakaw nga. Ghost project. Ngayon, ang pampapalit po nila mga ka-reaction, galing sa tax natin. So yung ninakaw nila dun, dapat yun ang ibalik. Ngayon na double whammy po mga ka-reaction. Bali nagnakaw po sila, nagnakaw pa sila, ninakawan pa tayo mga ka-reaction naman. Ano ba naman gagawin natin ngayon? Anong tingin nila sa atin mga bobo? Anong tingin nila sa taong bayan? Sila lang ang matalino? Katulad po ni Ralph Recto, inuutusan kita Ralph Recto, inuutusan kita. Ibalik mo yung pera, yung 60 billion ng PhilHealth, tsaka yung 100 billion ng PDIC. Kung saan ninyo dinala, kunin nyo doon. Huwag kayong kukuha sa national budget. Ang sabi pa po ni Garin, ito si Garin, malupit. Ang sabi po ni Garin, ang sabi ni Garin, PhilHealth 60 billion return via 2026 budget faster than asset recovery, Garin. Faster than asset recovery. Hindi naman tayo nagmamadali Problema nyo yan. Kailangan may managot, kailangan may makulong. Kung kailangan ipakulong si Ralph Recto para managot sa illegal na ginawa, illegal, unconstitutional. Ganun na lamang ba yun? Illegal yung ginawa, mali yung ginawa, walang mananagot. Basta't kukuha lang ng pera sa National Treasury, ibabalik sa PhilHealth. Yung kinuha nila sa PhilHealth, wala nang ginastos na ako. Hindi natin alam, ninakaw nga daw. Inuutusan kita, Ralph Recto, managot ka, Ralph Recto, dapat naniniwala po ba kayo na dapat makulong itong si Ralph Recto? Ako naniniwala ako. Dapat makulong silang dalawa ni BBM at doon sila magsama sa isang kulungan.
Siguro nasa isip ng Korte Suprema.
Ito, magaling po ito mga kareaksyon. Hindi. Ito. Puro, galit na galit po talaga si Atty. Salpanelo.
This country is drowning in so much noise.
Ito po. Napakagaling po nito mga kareaksyon. Bilib po akong mag-explain at bilib po ako sa Peanut Gallery. Basta Peanut Gallery ang pangalan yung channel, Peanut Gallery Media Network. Mag-subscribe po kayo, Peanut Gallery Media Network. Nandiyan po si Atty. Guanzo. No? Mag-react lang po tayo dito sa napakagandang content na ito mga ka-reaction. O masasabi kong parang reaction din ang ginawa nila. Napakaganda po. Panoorin po natin.
Former Congressman Saldi.
The country is drowning in so much noise.
Former Congressman Saldico.
Huwag ka nang makialam sa budget.
We cannot ignore that statement.
You have to bend the law.
Yung sinasabi natin bending the law will be inconsistent totally with this core legal system.
Klarong-klaro na si Zaldico ay isa sa mga masterminds. Pero dito sa mga videos, parang siya pa yung kawawa.
If we are in the process of investigation, why are you so protective of the Discayas? Why are you so protective?
Tama na! Sobra na! Itong mga kagaguhan! Si Vice President Sara Duterte!
Rage baiting, unfounded talking points, all designed to confuse a public that is already stretched thin.
Tax natin, ninanakaw lang nila, pinagpapasarap nila sa kung ano-anong mga luho nila.
Kahit saan ka tumingin, someone is peddling a narrative instead of explaining the truth. And the people who need clarity the most end up getting manipulated instead. And it does not help that this country has no shortage of self-proclaimed political analysts who talk with so much confidence. Akala mo yung opinion nila ebidensya.
I actually liked how Speaker Romualdez ran Congress. I was actually impressed at how he was able to unify Congress in a lot of major issues. People want to know the truth. Pagod na ang ating taong bayan sa ganitong panloloko.
Anong taong bayan pinagsasabi mo? Mantagin po niyo mga pinklawan dilawan, pinupuri po si Martin Romualdez. Talagang basta't wag lang mauupo po itong si Sara Duterte, talagang ihiburin, didilaan, at kakainin, lulunukin ang wet packs po, yung tae po ni Bongbong Marcos. Lahat ng dumi talagang lulunukin ng mga pinklawan dilawang umalingas o pati suka ni BBM tsaka ni Tambalaslas.
Kaya cheese, umayos-ayos ka please.
If there is one place in this country where politics should never dictate decisions, dito yan sa COMELEC. Unfortunately, even the very institution tasked to guard our democracy is not immune from political gamesmanship.
Yung kauna-unahan po namin susulatan ay yung mismong contractor na yon na umamin mismo sa House of Representatives na siya ay nagbigay ng 30 million pesos.
Nagpapagamit kasi kayo. COMELEC, welcome to the show. Case in point, the Cheese Escudero campaign donation issue.
Matagal ko ng kaibigan at kakilala, siya at tumutulong talaga sa amin. Mula pa, nung hindi pa iso to.
Ang tanong, illegal ba na mag-donate ang may-ari ng isang construction company sa kampanya ng isang kandidato?
It's actually a violation sa Omnibus Election Code. So, may mga prohibited donations.
Anton Lagdameo donated 247.3 million pesos sa kampanya ni BBM kung sa mga contractors lang. Rodolfo Hilot Jr. donated 20 million pesos sa presidential campaign ni BBM and bagged 3.22 billion pesos worth of flood control projects. Mr. Jonathan Tirante donated 1 million pesos to BBM's presidential campaign. His company bagged 76 flood control projects worth 6.77 billion pesos among many others.
Napakalupit po no? Parang talagang easy money po mga reaction no? Magdodonate ka nung panahon ng eleksyon, kakamada ka naman pag nanalo na si BBM. Naku, mga kareaksyon. Bilyon po mga kareaksyon. Hanggang kailan natin matitiis at hanggang kailan natin lulunukin ang mga ganitong sistema na dala po ng isang presidenteng bangag.
So what? We'll just ignore all of that?
Any person or company cannot donate if that company or person has an interest in a contract with government for construction or infrastructure projects.
Bakit kayo gumagawa ng distinction na wala naman sa konstitusyon? Takot ba kayo kay Romualdez? Dagdag na lang kung talagang nakakatanggap sila ng mga blessing from Romualdez. Allegedly. Ignored those rulings and carved a hole in the Constitution. This country has been stuck for decades trying to pass an anti-dynasty law. The members of the House of Representatives shall be elected for a term of 3 years. Yeda Romualdez, who is now serving her 4th term in Congress. How the fuck did that happen? Now, she joins her husband, Martin Romualdez, and their son, Andrew Julian Romualdez, Tingog Party List's first nominee. COMELEC has just created a new breed of dynasty. COMELEC, pagbuhusan natin ng time and resources ang very honest sauces ng mga politiko. Doon nga lang sa mga naka-upload sa COMELEC website mismo, ang dami-dami ng kaduda-duda Yung NUP, walang nakalagay dito na natanggap na donation. Liberal Party, 2.85 million pesos ang tinanggap na cash contribution. Ang total na ginastos, 2.85 million pesos. Talo pa sila ng Kabataan Party List. 3.5 million pesos ang natanggap na cash donation. Wag ka! Ang akbayan, walang natanggap na donation. Pero may ginastos na 18,188,000 pesos. But honestly speaking, is there really a 100% accurate and honest sauce? Now back to Escudero, Lubiano, and the 30 million peso donation. Is this true? This country is drowning in so much noise. Spin after spin after spin, misdirection, rage baiting, unfounded talking points, all designed to confuse a public that is already stretched thin and just trying to stay afloat. Kahit saan ka tumingin, someone is peddling a narrative instead of explaining the truth. And the people who need clarity the most end up getting manipulated.
Idol ko na po ito mga karyason, napakalupit po nitong magbibigay sa atin ngayon ng magagandang reaksyon. Grabe po ang kanyang mga revelasyon dito. Panoorin po natin mga karyason. Hindi po ako makapaniwala na nag-e-exist po itong napakagandang dilag na ito pagdating po sa political point of view at pagdating po sa pagbibigay ng kanyang mga opinion. Napakalupit po. Panoorin po natin.
Instead.
Nakakagalit na po kasi, ang daming naghihirap, ang daming mga lumulubog sa baha, tapos yung mga tax natin, ninanakaw lang nila, pinagpapasarap nila sa kung ano-anong mga luho nila.
And it does not help that this country has no shortage of self-proclaimed political analysts who talk with so much confidence.
Paano kayo nakakakuha ng mga ganitong proyekto? Gumagastos ng mga 5 billion pesos tapos hindi nyo maayos-ayos tong flooding problem natin? People want to know the truth. Pagod na ang ating taong bayan sa ganitong panloloko. Kaya cheese, okay, umayos-ayos ka please.
Ito po, mapapanood po natin yung mga political analyst daw ng mga pinklawan dilawan na ngayon ay talagang kahinhimod ng tae, wetpack sa mga suka. Sige, kain mga pinklawan dilawan, mga walang prinsipyo. Yeah.
Akala mo, yung opinion nila, ebidensya.
Tama.
Why are you focusing on me? Why are you focusing on the 1%? Parang halata kapag affected siya eh. Kasi di ba, ang first time niya nagpa-press con na mukha siyang affected, no? Even if he will deny it, inom siya ng tubig noon. Ang problema ni Senator Cheese, hindi niya yata alam, Senate President siya. Kaya siya nauna.
Basta sinabi ko, totoo yan.
And of course, we're talking about top campaign donors, which is, di ba, on the record yan eh. So you can trace it. Sinong top campaign donors, sinong kumuha ng kontrata, at kung reasonable yan.
At mas maingay pa sila sa mga totoong expert at sa mga taong totoong may alam. They feed an already exhausted public with half context and cleanly edited narratives because they thrive in a tired nation where people barely have time to verify anything.
I come from the north of the country where our Human Development Index is almost Southern Europe. But if you go to Mindanao, their Human Development Index is Sub-Saharan African level.
Sub-Saharan, lumitaw na naman po si Sub-Saharan. Si Sub-Saharan.
They're just too fucking done with things because they're too fucking done with things. Half context and cleanly edited narratives because they thrive in a tired nation where people barely have time to verify anything.
I come from the north of the country where our Human Development Index is almost Southern Europe. But if you go to Mindanao, their Human Development Index is Sub-Saharan African level.
They're just too fucking done with things because they're very easy to agitate even more. Public servants owe the Filipino people better than that. And more than ever, honesty from our institutions matter.
Honesty.
Unfortunately, even the very institution tasked to guard our democracy is not immune from political gamesmanship. Comelec, welcome to the show. If there is one place in this country where politics should never dictate decisions, dito yan sa Comelec. But we all know that that's not how things actually work. At kung magpapasurvey tayo ngayon, tanungin natin ang mga Pilipino, magbigay kayo ng 5 government agencies na inyong pinagkakatiwalaan. I'm willing to bet Comelec would not even get a single vote. And that's nobody else's fault except the people there because the office allows itself to be used. Nagpapagamit kasi kayo.
Yung kauna-unahan po namin susulatan ay yung mismong contractor na yon na umamin mismo sa House of Representatives na siya ay nagbigay ng 30 million pesos.
Case in point, the Cheese Escudero campaign donation issue.
Matagal ko ng kaibigan at kakilala, siya at tumutulong talaga sa amin. Mula pa, nung hindi pa iso to.
Pero nakakuha siya ng kontrata nung senador na po kayo at ulitin ko lang, at may any help ba siyang
Yung
nakuha?
mas malaking nakuha niya ay nung wala ako dito.
Pero nung senador na kayo, SP, nakakuha pa siya ng kontrata po?
Hindi ko alam dahil hindi naman niya ako partner sa negosyo. Hindi ako bahagi ng kanya negosyo. Again, that's the innuendo and the insinuation being floated and propagated.
May resolution na, may decision na, pero bakit divided pa din ang mga tao sa naging desisyon? Because it was meant to be exactly that. An issue to divide an already exhausted Filipino people. It should not have been an issue at all. Naging issue lang naman yan dahil nabanggit ni Mr. Lawrence Lubiano sa Infracom hearing na nag-donate siya ng 30 million pesos sa kampanya ni Cheese Escudero in 2022.
Kayo po ba ay nagbigay ng donasyon sa sino man na kumandidato, whether local or national, sa huli mga eleksyon?
2022, Your Honor?
Yes.
Yes po, Your Honor.
Kanino po yon?
Kay Senator Cheese po.
Escudero. Senator Cheese Escudero.
Yes po.
And more or less, magkano po daw ang inyong na-donate sa kampanya ni Senator Cheese?
30 million po.
Noong panahon na yun, ay kayo ay meron ng mga proyekto o kontrata sa gobyerno?
Yes po, since 2009 po.
Kasama ang kumpanya ni Lubiano na Centerways Construction and Development Incorporated sa umanong top 15 construction companies na nakakubra ng mga flood control projects mula 2022. But as I have been saying since this started, wala naman kasing problema kung nakakuha ka ng project ng malinis. Ginawa mo ng maayos ang proyekto at tinapos mo ng walang problema. But of course, that's a separate matter. Pwede nating pag-usapan sa ibang araw. Ang tanong, illegal ba na mag-donate ang may-ari ng isang construction company sa kampanya ng isang kandidato? Sa mundo ng mga katulad ni Jesus Falsis na very honest and very intelligent, illegal.
Ang problema for Senator Cheese, there's another prohibited donation or contribution, which is any entity, natural or juridical. Any person or company cannot donate if that company or person has an interest in a contract or has a contract with government for construction or infrastructure projects.
But in the real world, where laws matter, hindi.
It's actually a violation sa Omnibus Election Code. So, Section 95 of the Omnibus Election Code says may mga prohibited donations. Hindi, sabihin natin USA. No, I mean, let's be fair.
Foreign interference yan basically. May utang na ng bansa, problema yan. Yeah.
Let's be fair. Elon Musk, Jack Ma, mga hindi dual citizens, hindi Pinoy, or a foreign government, bawal.
Sure, sabi sa Omnibus Election Code, whether you are an individual or a company, kung may kontrata ka with the government, including construction projects, bawal kang mag-contribute o mag-donate sa kampanya ng mga kandidato. And it's very easy to understand why. Gustong iwasan ng batas na yung mga politiko ay magkaroon ng utang na loob sa mga contractors na pwedeng maging dahilan para makompromise kapag nanalo na sila. And when I say contractors, I mean lahat. Hindi lang yung mga sa construction. Pasok din yung service providers, goods providers, and anyone na kailangan ng legislative franchise para mag-operate. Katulad ng kuryente, media, telcos, mga bus company, tolls, mga kailangan ng permit like minahan, etc., etc. Ibig sabihin, basically, lahat ng oligarchs at elites sa bansa bawal mag-donate. But let's be realistic. Most politicians are the elites and major political parties are backed by oligarchs. So lahat na bawal? This is the extent of the conversation that propagandists will not take you to because their narrative will fall apart. The National Unity Party o NUP is backed by Enrique Razon Jr. May-ari ng Soler, Prime Infra na nag-ooperate ng Malampaya Gas Project at may control and chairmanship ng Manila Water, ICTSI na nag-ooperate ng mga ports sa bansa, etc. etc. Ang Nationalista, backed by Manuel Villar, may-ari ng Prime Water and Prime Asset Ventures Incorporated na may hawak ng concession for the Muntinlupa Cavite Expressway among many others. Ang Nationalist People's Coalition or NPC na ang backer naman ay si Ramon Ang, whose San Miguel Corporation has several major contracts with the government, including the 170.6 billion 25-year concession agreement to rehabilitate and operate NAIA. May large-scale infra projects such as the new Manila International Airport in Bulacan and the Metro Rail Transit Line 7 o MRT 7, and has a public-private partnership with the Quezon City government to clean up local rivers. Again, among many others. Mga major political parties pa lang yan, ha? We are not even talking about politicos who actually own companies or yung mga kapamilya nila na may mga kontrata with the government. So what? We'll just ignore all of that? The interpretation of the law that prohibits these people from donating to any campaign is very restrictive and unrealistic. And whoever tries to argue na ganito siya dapat mag-apply are either naive or are sinungaling. Now back to Escudero, Lubiano, and the 30 million peso donation. The Omnibus Election Code does prohibit individuals and companies with government contracts from donating to any campaign. However, that prohibition only applies to the individual kapag ang kontrata with the government ay nasa pangalan nila at hindi sa pangalan ng kumpanya. Kung ang donation ay galing sa pera ng kumpanya mismo or if the person is acting on behalf of the company, yun ang bawal. But in their personal capacity, gamit ang sarili nilang pera, pwede silang mag-donate. Even if a person owns almost all of the shares of a company, sa mata ng batas, hiwalay na entity pa din ang kumpanya sa mga may-ari nito. And it does not erase the corporation's own identity. Nilinaw na yan ng Supreme Court. In MacLeod versus NLRC, sabi ng korte, even full ownership of a corporation is not enough reason to treat the company and the owner as the same. So you can call it a loophole, but in practical terms, this interpretation makes sense. Because if the rule automatically banned all owners, shareholders, or investors from donating, the law would become very impossible to implement. If ownership alone were enough to trigger prohibition, then a lot of Filipinos na may shares sa mga companies, diba, mga partnerships, including yung mga kaibigan at kapamilya ng mga kandidato will be banned from participating in campaign donations. And that would be unworkable and unreasonable. Magsisinungaling na lang silang lahat. It's just surprising that in the case of Lubiano and Escudero, COMELEC actually went down the path it did and made this bigger than it actually is. Nag-alat ng resources para sakyan ang narrative na ito, even though they know that not only is this not bawal per se, almost everyone also does it. Even though may mga mas mahalaga at urgent na matters na dapat nilang pagtuunan ng pansin or pag-aralan. Whether or not Centerways eventually bagged contracts dahil sa donation na yan ni Lubiano in 2022 is immaterial here. Wala sa mandato ng COMELEC na imbestigahan yan. Especially not 3 years after the donation was done. Trabaho yan ng Ombudsman, ng COA, ng DOJ o ng NBI, hindi ng COMELEC. Dahil kung gagawing issue ito, silipin na din natin yung ibang mga nag-donate sa kampanya ng mga politiko mula sa personal nilang pera at direktang nakinabang eventually dahil nabigyan ng posisyon sa gobyerno. Huwag na tayong lumayo. Anton Lagdameo, who's now Special Assistant to the President, donated 247.3 million pesos sa kampanya ni BBM. Mel Robles, who was eventually appointed General Manager of PCSO, donated 30 million pesos. Kung sa mga contractors lang, Mr. Rodolfo Hilot Jr. of Rudil Construction and Enterprises Incorporated donated 20 million pesos sa presidential campaign ni BBM and bagged 3.22 billion pesos worth of flood control projects and close to 10.78 billion pesos for a total of 227 projects for the same period of 2022 to 2025. Mr. Jonathan Kirante of Kirante Construction donated 1 million pesos to BBM's presidential campaign. Between 2022 and 2025, his company bagged 76 flood control projects worth 6.77 billion pesos and an overall total of 185 projects worth 12.58 billion pesos. Jonathan is the nephew of Mr. Alan Kirante of QM Builders na kasama sa top 5 flood control contractors. For comparison, ang 888 na nasa top 15 list ni BBM may total flood control projects worth 6.38 billion pesos between 2022 to 2025 and a total of 9.67 billion pesos para sa lahat ng mga kontrata nila. Mas malaki pa ang nakuha ng Kirante Construction kaysa sa 888, pero wala sa top 15. And that, of course, is a whole different matter, and it's up to you what conclusion to draw from that. I'm just presenting numbers I got from the DPWH database. But, like I said, if you are to look into one case, you should be willing to look into others. Otherwise, you cannot blame us if isipin namin na talagang politically motivated ang inquiry na ito. Not only is there nothing legally stopping Escudero's team from accepting the donation, he also declared it in his Statement of Contributions and Expenditures o SOSE. Doon pa lang, natanggal na yung element ng mali siya sa pagtanggap ng donation. I know it is in the mandate of COMELEC na i-check yung katotohanan ng mga declaration ng mga kandidato sa SOSE nila. But honestly speaking, is there really a 100% accurate and honest SOSE? Doon nga lang sa mga naka-upload sa COMELEC website mismo, ang dami-dami ng kaduda-duda eh. Yung NUP, backed by Ricky Razon, 92,864 ang declared na gastos na napunta sa rent ng headquarters.
No.
Walang nakalagay dito na natanggap na donation. Sino ba? Ang mga officers ng NUP. Ronaldo Puno.
Nako.
Romeo Acop.
Nako po.
And, Crispin Boying Remulla na ngayon ay ating ombudsman. I mean, baka naman, di ba? May attachment na kasama yung SOSE na yan. I don't know. This is just what's on the website of COMELEC at pinapakita ko lang kung ano yung nakuha natin. Liberal Party, 2.85 million pesos ang tinanggap na cash contribution. 12,500 pesos in kind. Ang total na ginastos, 2.85 million pesos.
No.
Kiko Pangilinan sa Senado, mamamayang liberal sa Kongreso. Amazing! Talo pa sila ng Kabataan Party List. 3.5 million pesos ang natanggap na cash donation. Diba? Wag ka! Ang akbayan, founded by the most reputable political analyst today, ang napakagwapong si Ronald Llamas, listed here as a political party, not a party list, walang natanggap na donation. Pero, may ginastos na 18,188,000 pesos. Again, ito lang ang naka-upload sa COMELEC website. Baka naman may mga attachment pa yan na hindi natin alam. But I don't see why it won't get reflected here. Yung mga donation na natanggap nila. But at this point, who even cares anymore? Noong 2010 nga, may nalista silang donor na patay na. Tapos may barangay chairman daw na nag-donate ng 500,000 pesos. Really? Na-question ba sila? No? Naparusahan ba sila? Another no? And I'm not saying dahil backer nila that time ang Aquino family, but I will say na backer nila that time ang Aquino family. Again, who cares anymore if these people lie on their sauce? Of course, we want them to be honest, but are they really? Even the holiest of them all sa Senado ngayon, one of their founders, yung pinakawalang bahid ng korupsyon at pagsisinungaling o paglilinlang, si Risa Ontiveros, has filed a questionable sauce maybe at least once in her life. And it was reported in detail by no less than PCIJ. In 2009 daw, she declared a net worth of 4.9 million pesos with only 140,000 pesos in cash. At may utang o bayarin worth 7 million pesos. In 2010, nung tumakbo siyang senador, she said she spent 2.4 million of her own money sa kampanya niya. So, ibig sabihin, 2.5 million pesos na lang dapat ang net worth niya.
Naku.
Between 2010 and 2012, sabi ng PCIJ, she had no documented full-time employment or steady source of income. But in her 2013 sauce, she said she spent 8.8 million pesos over her own money sa kanyang kampanya. Ibig sabihin, somehow, nakapag-produce siya ng 5.5 million pesos more than her remaining assets from 2010 without any visible income source. May attachment pa ang sauce na yan. Di umano. Yung personal na gastos niyang yan, inutang niya from 9 individuals. 8.86 billion pesos in total. Inutang di umano sa mga kasamahan niya sa civil society that I can only assume hindi rin naman ganun mayayaman. Nagrarally nga dahil mahirap daw sila. Di ba? Walang may alam kung paano nila na-afford magpautang kay Risa. Dalawa pa daw doon graduate students na wala namang full-time jobs. Baka naman kasi ganyan lang nila talaga kamahal si Risa. Nagmimilagro sila for her. At partida pa. Single mom siya niyan with 4 children at sinugal niya talaga ang umutang ng 8.8 million pesos para sa kanyang kampanya. And why not? Baka sakaling manalo na, right? And the rest is history. I mean, look at her now. 11 years later, 11 years after niyang mangutang ng 8.8 million pesos, she is now worth 18.99 million pesos. So yeah, COMELEC, pagbuhusan natin ng time and resources ang very honest sauces ng mga politiko because we could all use an inspiring success story every now and then. And speaking of success stories brought to you by COMELEC, I'm sure you have all heard of the beautiful success story of the equally beautiful wife of the best and the most honest House Speaker ever, Martin Romualdez, Tingog Congresswoman Yeda Romualdez, who is now serving her 4th term in Congress. How the fuck did that happen? In 2016, she served her first term as Congresswoman representing the 1st District of Leyte. 2019 and 2022, she was the first nominee of Tingog Party List. And in the recent elections, she was the party list's 6th nominee. Nakakuha ng 3 seats sa Kongreso ang Tingog. Ano nangyari? Ang 3rd nominee na si Marie Josephine Diana Calatrava, kapatid ni Yeda, nag-resign. Ang fourth nominee ng party list na si Alexis Yu also resigned because he was elected as the party's executive vice president. And Paul Moncada, the fifth nominee, was elected vice president for internal affairs. So he had to resign too, which left Yeda Marie Romualdez to take the third seat, and now she joins her husband, First Leyte District Representative Martin Romualdez, and their son, Andrew Julian Romualdez, Tingog Party List's first nominee. Article 6, Section 7 of the Constitution says the members of the House of Representatives shall be elected for a term of 3 years. No member of the House of Representatives shall serve for more than 3 consecutive terms. Pang-apat mo na, Yeda! So why in the first place was Yeda allowed to be the party's 6th nominee kung nakatapos na siya ng 3 consecutive terms? Kasalanan natin, sabi ng COMELEC, kasi wala daw nag-file ng petition o disqualification case against Tingog's list of nominees. I beg to disagree, sir. You could have intervened the moment they submitted their list of nominees. What about your constitutional regulatory power and duty to enforce election laws, to apply the Constitution, and to ensure only qualified candidates and nominees are allowed to run or sit? This alone allows your office to intervene even without a petition kapag nakita ninyo na may constitutional violation tulad ng term limits. This is the same power your office uses when you motu proprio disqualify nuisance candidates, when you cancel candidates' COCs, when you delist party lists, when you disqualify nominees for lack of sectoral representation, and when you deny improper substitutions. So yes, the Constitution already empowers you, COMELEC, to act proactively. Pinili nyo lang na wag gawin. Hindi mo pwedeng gawing excuse na may loophole kasi dahil galing siya sa district tapos lumipat ng party list kaya magkaiba ang office. Again, the Constitution limits every member of the House of Representatives to just 3 consecutive terms. Article 6, Section 7 does not invite interpretation. Article 6, Section 5 defines the House of Representatives as composed of members elected from legislative districts and members elected through the party list system. Both are called members of the House. They perform the same functions, they have the same powers, and they vote on the same laws. Walang hierarchy between them. There's no separate chamber. Walang hiwalay na ranggo. The Constitution treats them as equals. Ang pinag-iba lang ang mode of election. So bakit kayo gumagawa ng distinction na wala naman sa Constitution? Takot ba kayo kay Romualdez? The Supreme Court has never said that a change in the mode of election breaks the continuity of service. In fact, kabaliktaran nga ang sinabi ng korte. And it has said it clearly. May malinaw na jurisdiction na dyan. Borja versus COMELEC, 1998. Yung senior councilor naging vice mayor by succession and later wanted to run again. Ano sabi ng korte? The court ruled that the time he served as vice mayor by succession counts as a term because he continuously exercised the same office. Ang sabi ng korte, What matters is the actual holding of power and not the manner of getting there. Latasa versus Comelec, 2003. Yung mayor ng municipality of Digos served 3 consecutive terms. When Digos became a city, sabi niya, the conversion created a new office and that he could run again. The court rejected that. Sabi ng korte, the change in status did not change the fact that he would still be governing the same area with the same powers. Those 2 rulings together clearly establish that term limits cover continuous exercise of the same power regardless of the name or structure of the position. The point of the constitutional limit is to prevent monopoly of power by letting Yeda Romualdez sit for a 4th straight term. Comelec ignored those rulings and carved a hole in the Constitution. Winarningan na kayo that if you let her sit as congresswoman, magseset kayo ng dangerous precedent. Anyone can now serve 3 terms as district representative, move to a party list for 3 more, and then go back again. This does not just benefit the Romualdezes. This hands every political dynasty a manual for permanent rule. Pwede na silang maupo, both as district and party list representatives at the same time, rotate relatives between them, and claim every round is different. Oh, by the way, hindi lang si Yeda ang nandyan sa Kongreso kahit lagpas na sa term limit. Si Congressman Raymond Mendoza nga ng TUCP, 7 consecutive terms na. But to be fair to him, pasok pa naman yung excuse na interrupted ang term niya because of circumstances beyond his control. Well, baka sa kanya natuto si Yeda. I mean, after all, tito siya ni Yeda. A family that reinterprets the law to cling to power together must really love the country and really have the heart to serve the Filipino people together.
The House will take the lead in building strong public accountability mechanisms because our good governance is our duty, not our defense. Ang kaban ng bayan ay hindi dapat ninanakaw, hindi dapat sinasayang. Ito ay para sa mamamayan. Bawat sentimo, bawat proyekto, bawat serbisyo.
This country has been stuck for decades trying to pass an anti-dynasty law. Meanwhile, Comelec has just created a new breed of dynasty. At paano tayong maniniwala ngayon na seryoso ang 20th Congress na isulong ang anti-dynasty law kahit ang election tribunal nga ng Congress hindi inaksyonan to? Sige nga, makabayan Black! Total kayo ang pinakamaingay na nagpupush for an anti-dynasty law. Tapos, may genuine party list group and nominee bill pa kayo. Magsalita nga kayo against this? Well, may reliable insider na bumulong sa akin months ago bago pa yung mga flood control issue na yan na inaalagaan daw kayo ni Martin Romualdez. Is this true? Well, back then, of course, I said, no way. Well, you have not been as vocal against him as you have consistently been with other people in government, so I don't know, you're proving me wrong, and it's not looking good on you. Sa bagay, why would you question this? Kayo nga, na-accommodate din ng same bulok system in Comelec, kaya buhay pa kayo dyan sa Kongreso kahit naghihingalo na. Taon-taon-taon na! Sitting on the desk of Comelec ay ang petition ng National Task Force to End Local Communist Armed Conflict o NTF-LCAC through the Solicitor General na kanselahin ang mga partido under the Makabayan Bloc, particularly ang Kabataan at Gabriela because of grave violations like links to terrorists and accepting foreign funding. Malinaw sa Party List System Act ang mga grounds for cancellation of registration. Sabi sa Section 6, when it advocates for violence or unlawful means to seek its goal, and when it is receiving support from any foreign government, foreign political party, foundation, or organization. Rule 32, Section 8 of COMELEC's Rules of Procedure lists the grounds for canceling the registration of any political party, coalition, or organization. Subsection D says, when the said political party, coalition of parties, or organization has become a religious sect, or denomination, is pursuing its goals through violence or other unlawful means, is refusing to adhere to or uphold the Constitution of the Philippines, or is receiving support from any foreign government. Ang Kabataan Party List ay integration ng mga youth leaders ng iba't ibang organizations, including the National Union of Students of the Philippines o NUSP, the League of Filipino Students o LFS, Anak Bayan, Kabataang Artista para sa Bayan o Karatula, College Editors Guild of the Philippines o CEGP, at marami pang iba. Sara Jane Elago, dating Kabataan Party List representative at ngayon ay nasa Gabriela na, is a former national president of the NUSP. Kung babalikan natin ang mga naging hearing ng Senate Committee on National Defense, ito din ang mga grupo na pinanggalingan ng mga dating rebelde bago sila napasok sa NPA.
Pagka 2016 po ng April and May, dahil po bakasyon siya, ang ginawa po sa amin, kami mga LFS, lahat ng mga kasamahan kong anak bayan, na mga membro na din po ng Kabataang Makabayan, binasahan po nila kami ng pag-aaral po namin na tungkol po yun sa revolutionary dual tactics, na kinakailangan na hindi lang po yung armadong pakikibaka ang palakasin namin, kung hindi, kailangan din naming pasukin ang gobyerno para pabagsakin ng gobyerno. Ang ibig sabihin, kinakailangan din namin makapagpanalo ng mga party list o ng mga senador para yun po yung magsisilbing susi namin para mapabagsak ang gobyerno. Ngayon po, isa po ako dun sa mga kabataan 2016 po, kinampanya po namin yung Kabataan Party List. Personal ko po yung karanasan. Wala po akong pinagbatayan na karanasan ng iba. Personal ko po yung naranasan. Kung paano po kami ginamit na hanggang gabi, nagdidikit po kami sa mga pader ng mga poster ng Kabataan Party List dahil alam naming illegal. Kaya ginagawa po namin yun tuwing gabi.
Ito ang point of entry nila to being rebels. Mga kaanib ng teroristang NPA na naging dahilan ng pagkamatay ng mga kabataang katulad ni Guillermo Martin o Jing Cadano ng Kabataan, Giancarlo Capistrano Alberto ng Anak Bayan, Lilet Fatima Raquel ng LFS, Rachel May Palang na naging Vice President of Visayas pa ng CEGP, Rendel Ryan Edpan Kagula na LFS Coordinator at Kabataan Party List Coordinator, at marami pang iba. Nalatag ko na to sa naunang episode namin on the Makabayan Block at ang koneksyon nila sa mga terorista. Sa mga hindi pa po nakapanood, nandito ang link sa baba. Katulad ng naipakita namin sa episode na yan, may mga nag-testify na si Sara Elago mismo ang nag-recruit sa kanila papuntang NPA. Dinideny niya yan. At ang palusot ng mga grupo na yan, hindi na nila kontrolado kung mapunta man sa NPA ang mga miyembro nila. In other words, wala silang pakialam. But ang relationship na ito ng kabataan at teroristang NPA ay hindi lang one way. Hindi lang from kabataan papuntang NPA. Ano naman ang explanation ninyo for recruiting active NPA members papuntang kabataan para tulungan kayo sa kampanya? Jason Rafales. He was an active member of the NPA in 2018 when he was installed by Kabataan Party List to become its president ng Kalbiga Samar Chapter. Ang sabi niya, ang Kabataan Party List mismo ang lumapit sa NPA para tulungan ito sa kampanya. Sabi niya sa affidavit niya mismo, siya ang nanghihikayat sa mga tao na iboto ang Kabataan Party List at ginagawa niya ito kasama ang mga rebelde habang sila ay may mga hawak na armas. Si Ray Christian Sabado ng Anak Bayan. In 2014, he was indoctrinated with maikling kurso sa lipunan at Rebolusyong Pilipino. Kasama sa course na ito yung pag-discuss ng kalagayan ng Pilipinas, bakit naghihirap, at ano daw ang solusyon? Umawak ng armas at sumama sa armadong pakikibaka. In 2015, he became a member of the Communist Party of the Philippines, ang CPP. And in 2016, he was transferred to Kabataan Party List. He was an active member of Kabataan when he became a member of the New People's Army o NPA. In fact, in 2019, kasama pa niya si Elago na rumisponde sa demolition na naganap sa Bayview Drive sa Parañaque. Documented yan. According to these former rebels, ang Kabataan Party List ay tinatag mismo ng CPP. Ang Kabataan Party List ay katuwang sa pagpapatibay at pagpapalakas ng NPA. Nagsisinungaling si Rene Ko nung sinabi niya na walang kahit anong relasyon ang Kabataan Party List sa mga rebelde. Malinaw na malinaw ang connection na yan sa kanilang history. Sa Mindanao, in 2004, pinababa ng CPP-NPA ang kadre nila na si Eric Kasilaw na noon ay secretary ng Guerrilla Front 20 operating in Southern Mindanao para tumakbo bilang second nominee ng Anak ng Bayan Party List. Pero hindi sila nanalo that time. At noong 2007 elections, nagpalit ng pangalan ang grupo. Ito ay naging Kabataan Party List. Si Kasilaw, umakyat ulit ang bundok pagkatapos matalo sa party list elections and rose to the ranks of the CPP-NPA at naging miyembro pa nga ng Central Committee noong 2016 until his capture in Malaysia in 2022. You cannot have seats in Congress occupied by people who are actively seeking to dismantle and destroy the government they swore to serve.
Yung tanong po ninyo kung kinukumpirma namin na gusto nilang pabagsakin ng gobyerno, kumpirmado, totoo po yun, lahat kami. Ang
yung mga, sinong sila? You're referring to?
Yung mga ka-printing organisasyon na nag-recruit po sa amin, ang intent po lahat yan, pabagsakin ito.
So, yung front lang, hindi kasama yung party list. Yung front lang.
Kasama mo party list. Kaya nga po nila pinasok ang political mainstream arena para magkaroon sila to legitimize, magkaroon sila ng legal face. And kaya political officer po ako, kagalang-galang na senador, kaya po pinapagamit sa amin ang mga salitang revolusyon, revolutionary tax, armado, bagong hukbong bayan, yung mga word na ganyan, rally, symposium, orientation, to legitimize, to give a semblance of legitimacy doon sa atrocities na kinukumit. Kasi yung mga prente nito na ginagawa, yan yung lambong. Yan yung lambong, sisigaw ng demokrasya, pasay na ho ang demokrasya, sobra na ang demokrasya sa Pilipinas. Ang masakit nga ho, we want to destroy the government, but this is the same government that is now helping us.
And what about Gabriela? The party list where Sara Elago now sits as representative. In 2019, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Kingdom of Belgium shared a document entitled Overview of Non-Government Actors in the Philippines Program 2017 to 2021. Sabi sa dokumento, the Belgian government through its accredited NGOs, particularly G3W, also known as Viva Salud, funded Gabriela. May mga supporting documents from the Anti-Money Laundering Council mismo showing that from 2012 to 2016, Gabriela received more or less 22.7 million pesos. And according to former NPA rebel Edison Coloma Villanueva, ginagamit ng Gabriela ang pondo nito para bumili ng mga baril at ammunition para sa CPP-NPA. These are clear violations of the Constitution and clear grounds para tanggalin na bilang party list ang Gabriela. But not only has COMELEC not done that, it even violated the Constitution by giving Elago the 64th seat in Congress. The Constitution clearly states that party list representatives shall constitute 20% of the total number of representatives, including those under the party list. Ang 20% na ito ay cap. Limit po yan. The Supreme Court in Veterans Federation Party versus COMELEC in 2000 stated that the 20% limit is an absolute maximum. You cannot go beyond that ceiling. So let's do the math. There are currently 254 district representatives in Congress. With 63 party list seats, meron kang total na 317 members ng Kongreso, and party list groups make up 19.87% of the total seats. But when COMELEC added a 64th party list seat for Gabriela, naging 318 ang members ng House, pushing the party list share to 20.13%. The COMELEC has no discretion na mag-imbento ng seats or to alter the composition of Congress beyond what the Constitution and statutes explicitly provide. By breaching the 20% ceiling para bigyan ng seat ang Gabriela, COMELEC effectively amended the Constitution. This is why the Makabayan Bloc would never go against the powerful Romualdezes in Congress. Because the same COMELEC that allowed Yeda Romualdez to sit for a 4th consecutive term is the same COMELEC that violated the Constitution to accommodate Gabriela and allow the Kabataan Party List to keep its registration. Dagdag na lang kung talagang nakakatanggap sila ng mga blessing from Romualdez. Allegedly, the COMELEC is supposed to be the gatekeeper of our democracy. If politics contaminates that office, the entire system is compromised. And with a corrupted COMELEC, everything else becomes a negotiation, and that will be the collapse of public trust in our democracy itself. I am CJ Hero, proudly PGMN.
Napakalupit po mga kareaksyon. Ako gustong-gusto ko po, narinig ko po mga kareaksyon. Yung sumobra na po yung mga kongresista, no? Tsaka napakalupit po ng dokumentaryo na to ni CJ Hero. Idol, saludo ako sa'yo. PGMN, more power.